Young. All right, welcome back to Yin and Young, the podcast. This is going to be an interesting one. I don't think we've done a recap episode before, really. We've done solo, like, just the two of us recording before, but I think this is the first one where I kind of want to take a moment to see, like the past. It's been 8 years. So this would be, I believe, episode 75. So we're chugging around like, but then there's a little bit more because we did some live episodes. So it's like we're about what is that? So 8 times 7, like 9 episodes a year or something. Like yeah. So anyways, yeah, so I kind of want to first off, yeah, we'll catch up a bit and then also kind of look at back at some of these past episodes. So I was just looking at some of the numbers, and so we started in December, actually this month. So as of time of recording, it's December 2024. And let's see here. We started back in the earliest episode I have here is December 2016.
It was actually November. You know
Was
why I
it?
remember?
Oh,
It
why do you
was the
remember?
night of the election,
Oh, right. Okay, hold on. Let
and
me
we were
look
in
at.
shock because, yeah, that guy won.
Okay. So the second episode we did, let's see, the first one we were just chatting. Okay, so yeah, we recorded probably in November or maybe even earlier, and then we also did another episode on number two with election called Election Blues, which was yeah in
Yeah.
November
So,
2016. And so it's
w-
8 years later, and he's back in office. Trump is back in office. Yeah.
yes. I cannot believe it. Do you actually know any Trump supporters, by the way?
Yeah, so one of my former judo teachers, and then one of my judo. So I did like a short poll on my Instagram story about like who you voting for, and then like one of them was my former judo classmates, and he's like a Mexican guy. He's gonna vote for Trump, and then one of my former judo teachers, he voted for Trump. Yeah.
Did you ever talk to any of these people about why they voted for Trump? Or is it just, that was just a poll?
No, because this was the most recent election. I haven't been training judo, or I haven't seen them in years, so I don't know. But on their post, they made an Instagram post. Like my judo teacher made an Instagram post about it, and I guess he wanted a strong person to fight for American values, and he felt like Trump was the person to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I have someone really close to me. I won't say who because God forbid that person ever listens to our podcast and listens to me talk trash, but I'm sure they'll figure out who it is. But I talked to that person who I'm related to, and their reason for voting for Trump, even though we're in a blue state, that vote is a throwaway. But the reason
Yeah.
why they voted for Trump was that they said the economy was bad.
Hmm.
And I was like, what? Economy, the US economy is performing amazingly compared to the rest of the world.
Hmm.
But their idea was that they talked to their friends who own businesses and they said that the economy was bad.
Hmm.
And that might be true, but that's true for the whole world. The Japanese economy has especially been bad for decades now.
Right.
I mean, they're getting boosted by tourism, but overall the economy is bad. And they didn't like the policies about that were enacted by Democrats during the pandemic,
Sure.
where renters didn't have to pay rent. So that person being a landowner or a landlord didn't like that. I'm sure their renters paid though. But in any case, all these things were nonsense to me. And then I talked to another friend who didn't vote, but I'm close with, and he said that he didn't vote, but he would have supported Trump because he thought America was going too far to the left. And I didn't understand that at all. It was too woke. And I wanted him to explain that to me. And I don't know if I think it's the ideas of being politically correct, where you're saying happy holidays versus Merry Christmas, things like that. And I didn't understand that. And he says that the Republicans would probably help correct the way that America's going. But I think that ship has sailed. As long as you're educated, you're gonna recognize what people prefer, right? People's preferences. And I was just talking about the hypocrisy of the Republican Party and how the Republicans are super hypocrites in the sense that they will, for example, they would ban abortion, but the people who are voting for these things have probably had their mistresses or girlfriends have abortions. And then he's like, it's both sides, Dan, it's both sides. The Democrats there too. Kamala Harris said, Happy Holidays, but then she recorded some Merry Christmas thing. I was like, that's way different. He goes, no, it's the same thing. I was like, well, in my mind, one thing affects other people's health and livelihood,
Yeah.
and another one is just words that I don't even give a crap because you know what? Christmas is a made up thing. It's totally made up, right?
Right.
If we think about celebrating Christ's birthday,
Yeah.
it wasn't on Christmas Day.
It's
It's
probably in
not
the
on 20.
spring. Yeah.
It was in the spring. So I don't
Uh,
know.
it's so interesting. I watched some interviews and I also talked to some Japanese people. Yeah, Trump just seems more American to them, if that makes sense. It's like when they think of America, they think of someone like Trump, rich
Who's
white,
brash?
rich old white guy who's like straight speaker. And I would say, yeah, there is a liberal sentiment in the media in Japan, but I would say the general population, they're like, oh, Trump, yeah, yeah, I know that guy, okay, he's president, cool, and
But
they always think about like, well, what's he gonna do for Japan? What is he gonna be nice to Japan? And then like I guess someone had made an animated YouTube video of like Abe-san protecting Trump from the bullet when and it's like, "Don't Trump, I got you," because Abe was fairly he's very conservative, right? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But I thought it's always interesting to see it, and then but yeah, about the stuff that you talk about language, like sometimes I'll talk to my wife about that, and she's like, "Mendel, what the hell are you guys talking about?" You're like, "You guys are you Americans are so troublesome." Like there's a common thing that we talk about in our household is like, yeah, oh, you Americans think you're so free, but it seems like you can't really say anything. And I thought it's like, oh, okay, it's interesting that you have that perspective. But again, she didn't grow up in America. She doesn't know about like what the hell is that Asian American? Like she didn't know about that until she like basically married me. So like, there's
there's
a
so
lot of
many
nuances. Yeah,
things.
there's so many things.
There's
Yeah.
there's so many things, right? But I'm so shocked that the conservative Japanese people would think that way when Trump is a huge fan of Kim Jong-un, who is like a mortal enemy to Japan.
Right.
North Korea has been known to abduct Japanese citizens
Yes. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
bring them back to Japan. So I it doesn't compute in my mind like the right wing in general, how they can like embrace some guy is who like supports fascism or fascists like Putin and Kim Jong-un when I mean, Reagan was totally anti-Russian. That was the Cold War. We were
Yeah.
against Russia for so long,
Right.
and Putin has become like the super villain version of what Russia was, right? Before everything was done covertly in the secret, but now he's like openly doing shit. So it just blows my mind that the conservative Japanese would like view Trump as like whatever, you know. It just doesn't make sense because North Korea, he's a huge fan of Kim Jong-un. I don't get it,
Uh
man.
Right. That nuance I haven't really explored. I wonder what people think of what Japanese people think about that. Yeah, that one I haven't really explored. Um, but I mean, there's still Japanese Kamala supporters too that
I
I've heard
know.
of. Yeah, but
I'm sure there are like supporters everywhere, right?
yeah,
For
yeah,
both
yeah,
sides.
for both
But
sides.
all I was listening to my friend talk about it, and then he mentioned how Elon Musk bought Twitter for free speech,
Yeah,
and I tried to tell him that Twitter is a private company. They don't have to like abide by the free speech thing. They are not owned by the government, but they kind of are now, but they're not owned by the government. They can censor whatever they want. It's their platform. They are not beholden to uh, free speech and whatever. So that
Right.
killed me because also Elon is known to have provided a lot of misinformation that even his own AI, Grok, has labeled him as like a purveyor of misinformation. So
Hmm.
this free speech thing, it kills me. And then my friend brought up this whole thing about Gina Carano. Do you know who Gina Carano is?
Is that the
She,
fighter? The
yes,
yeah,
she's an
yeah.
MMA fighter and she became an actor and
Yeah,
she was in The
right.
Mandalorian, but
Right.
then she didn't get her contract renewed because she started um tweeting about anti-vax things and
Uh
how it's like people are stifling her and then it's like the Jew it's like comparing herself to the Holocaust being oppressed by Nazis and so Disney's like you know what we can't we can't continue. I was like Disney has every right to like hire and not hire whoever they want. They are also a private company.
hmm.
And if their employees violate any sort of um, clause in their contract or bring negative light to the company in any way, negative reputational risk, it's a very big reputational risk if Disney hires known people who talk about Nazism and whatever, right?
Right.
In that way, with like out sensitivity, they're gonna like fire him. And then he goes, "What if EY or whoever, what if your company actually does that to you?" I was like, "Yeah, they'd be in every right to actually fire me if I do something that would bring them, if I hurt their reputation anyway. If I
Hmm.
became a no Nazi guy and they found that out and I started espousing all this like Nazi stuff,
Yeah.
my company would totally, my job would totally get fired me from right then and there."
Right, right, right. Hmm. I wonder about X, right? It so sure it's all for free speech, but when I use X now, like I get pushed all these Elon posts.
Yes, yes.
And I'm just like and like I have to I always have to go right click on it and say not interested because like I mean I'll check his post once in a while, but I don't want it constantly coming on the top of my feed every day, you know.
Yeah.
So uh uh I do understand this idea of like free speech and like so like what is considered like what can you say and what can you not say in censorship. I do understand your argument about the it's a private company. It doesn't have to behold it. But at the same time, I, like I don't think a company like that is, yeah, it shouldn't spread misinformation, but it shouldn't be like blocking messages it personally deems as like, oh, it it it's not factually incorrect, but I don't like what they're saying. That's kind of like a weird
The
great that's a
opinions.
yeah, opinions. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, if you're
that's
talking about opinions, but the thing is like where's that line drawn, right? You can write a line like, you know what? James is a totally bad person and he deserves to get hurt.
right.
And
The get hurt
somebody,
part is yeah, yeah, yeah.
but that's an opinion, right?
Okay, okay.
And then so if someone like Trump says something like that and who has a ton of followers,
Right,
and they go, you know what? I don't think Trump likes James, and James is a bad person. At that point, where's that line drawn, right? If you get hurt,
right,
it's still an opinion that he just threw
right,
out there. Somebody has to police it.
right.
And
It's
then Twitter's a private platform. The free speech thing is so bullshit to me. If you say something about Elon on that platform, you're gonna
right.
get a ban.
Or there's gonna be a bunch of his fans on there saying like, community note, block this person, and then the bots will pay more attention to that or that person or yeah,
So
yeah,
the free speech thing is full of shit to me. I remember when he said that Twitter was not maximizing its potential and that if he were to take it over, he would
yeah,
make that thing profitable in no time. And then he pissed off all the advertisers and they left. And then he's like, fuck those guys.
yeah,
Publicly, he said, fuck those guys. But now he's the CEO is trying to like get those advertisers back because they're losing a ton of money. So his grand plan of um, monetizing Twitter to its fullest potential and becoming a payments platform or whatever has not come to fruition. Maybe it's a long game and I just don't see it. He has like better plans. But overall, this speech thing is full of shit to me because as soon as you say something about Elon, if you call him cisgender man or whatever, you're gonna
Yeah.
get a ban.
Yeah. So it's interesting how in these 8 years, I guess we're just circling back. Is that what's happening? Or so 8 years, election blues. I'm looking at, yeah, episode 2. Yeah, there's actually to this day the release that we're recording to this day 8 years from the release of that episode. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
frustrates me.
it frustrates you. Yeah, yeah,
And all these like ideas like, oh, Trump's gonna help the economy. I go, in what way? His first thing was to raise tariffs. That's gonna hurt the economy more than anything else.
mm,
Economists all know this. Like, and they don't know how tariffs work, right? Most people don't know how tariffs work. They thought, oh, that's a great idea. We can tax another country.
right.
But there's no such thing. No country can tax another country. There's no way. We cannot collect money from another country that way without providing goods and services, goods or services.
Because what basically my understanding is that by tariffs, that would be a source of income for the U.S. But then it
It's
would
a
raise
source
the
of,
prices of goods from those other countries though. So like everything's made in China right now. So if he has like a huge tariff on Chinese products, then basically everything we buy will like go up in price, right? I mean,
it'll, yes, that is totally true. So if you buy something costs $100 to buy
sure.
from China.
Yeah.
They raise the tariffs by 25% or 30% or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So now it's going to cost us $130. The company that brings that shit over is not going to pay that money and still make us pay $150. They're going, you know what? Now you're going to have to pay $180.
Ah, okay, okay.
So
For the profit margin. Yeah.
we as the consumers are going to pay that, and the government is going to gain money from it. But you know where else they can actually get money from? If they actually tax the rich. If they
Ah,
tax the billionaires and the multi-millionaires, they would get so much more revenue.
yeah. It's interesting. I think for lately I've been listening to like Scott Galloway and Andrew Yang, and they had some interesting ideas about right now, like one of the major reasons I think that Trump was reelected, and it was like by a pretty, like I think he won all of the swing states except for one, and there's like six of them, something like that. So
Yeah.
he was saying how there's a lot of angry young men in America,
Mm,
and he's saying that that's a cohort, that's a demographic that needs to be spoken to, but the Democratic Party hasn't really been successful in that tone or in that language of reaching out to young men. And I think young men gravitate towards, well, most of them, I think Trump did a great thing about his marketing, right? He went on the Joe Rogan podcast, he went on the Lex Friedman podcast, Theo Vaughn podcast, like all these made, some of the top 10 podcasts, which lean skews towards young male listeners. And I think it would have been great if Kamala did something like that, join these podcasts or something. And I think reaching
you know
out,
what?
what?
It
Yeah.
doesn't really even matter, right? The Democratic messaging is terrible. We
Yeah.
all know that.
Yeah.
It's because they want to be thoughtful in the responses. They want to actually carry out their promises.
Yeah.
So anything that they explain, like Elizabeth Warren is a great candidate, but she couldn't dilute her things into a small size, bite-sized
Digestible.
bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
digestible size, right?
Right.
We talked about this. I remember when we talked about the Andrew Yang guy
Yeah.
back in 2019 or 2020 or whatever it was, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And Andrew Yang is probably like the worst person to consult about that because math, are you kidding me? Do you remember what math stood
make
for?
make make America think harder or something like that.
Harder.
Yeah.
Nobody knew that. I didn't know that. Nobody thinks, oh, well, with MAGA, we all know what MAGA means, but how many people actually knew what math was? He did that to be, I guess, to be kind of coy in that
Yeah.
math. Asian American, they're really good at math.
Sure.
And he's playing up on these stereotypes. And he's done that more than once, right?
Mm,
And what good is that? Is that what young white males are going to actually gravitate towards? I don't
mm.
know. The stereotypes, maybe, maybe if the young white racist stereotypes, maybe they'll gravitate towards, like, oh yeah, yeah, that guy knows he's Asian. He's good at math.
You're right. I think UBI though, Universal Basic Income, that yeah, I think there was a critique on that as well. Like he should have positioned it as something different, like as
Trickle
yeah,
up economics. I
yeah,
remember this. We talked about it. It should have like trickle up.
mm,
Universal basic income, everyone should get it. They've experimented here and there, and it works pretty well.
yeah, yeah,
And then we said, oh, you know what? He didn't actually explain that well. Universal basic income does not flow off the tongue, but if you go trickle up, trickle up economy,
right.
everyone would have known that, right? It's
Uh,
like the
I
exact opposite of trickle down.
I remember this conversation from 4 years ago. It's like he needs a marketing consultant. Like he needs like
Yeah,
a yeah, like a messaging consultant. Yeah.
a messaging consulting, and
Right.
that's what drives me nuts when I think about this past presidency
Sure.
is that there are so many liberals in Hollywood, right? The
Yeah.
liberal left in Hollywood. Not all of them are liberals, obviously, because like John Voight, Gina Carano, some other crazy ones, Ricky Schroeder, they're all right leaning. But so a lot of the writers do a great job writing these ideas in movies,
Yeah.
and they could have helped them with the messaging. They should have helped. Somebody should have hired somebody from who's a writer to help with messaging because they're really good at these. If I watch all these movies, I have to think of one, but there have been some movies that have come up with really great slogans or really great ideas that are very
Right.
nuanced that appeal to a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, because I think for like the Democratic, National Convention website or something, like it
Yeah,
talks about all these demographics that they support, but there's none for like they don't say anything about young men. I mean, because it's like you can't list everyone, I guess, but I think young men in America, and I think around the world too, they're struggling. I think that's a large reason why Trump got into office, and also, yeah, he did some really good marketing stuff that did some good message. Like he worked at McDonald's. Like even my wife knew about that. She's like, "Oh, did you hear about Trump working at McDonald's?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I saw that." It's like funny, right?
it's
Even
funny.
but
It's
it's like, is
dumb
he?
though.
It's dumb, but like, is he the right person for the office? I don't know. But he's like, if you listen to the debate, it's like maybe not, but he's good at, he does like this dumb, these theatrics
Stunts.
that are
Yeah.
these stunts that are like, hey, it's fun, I guess. Yeah.
Yes. He's very good at it. I don't um discredit that at all. But then if you dig in a little bit deeper, that McDonald's was closed and he served nobody. He didn't.
Right. Like it makes sense because he recently got, attempted assassination. So like there's no way he's gonna have like real customers like just randomly
Yeah.
come in, right? Because they might have a gun, like
But it's no one even thought, no one cares about the real reality of the situation. They just like the theatrics of it
the
all.
theatrics, yeah.
And it just kills me, this whole idea. You know what? I thought about this a lot. I need someone to have a more basic message, right?
Hmm.
I want someone to have the Star Trek message. Do you know what I mean by that? Star
Live long and
Trek,
prosper. No, that's a Vulcan, but like,
that's the
okay.
Vulcan, but the Star Trek Federation, the Earth United, the Earth, right?
Yeah.
They had no more wants or needs. And because they grouped together and they realized that humanity, I don't even remember, I don't even think I'm getting it all right. But the idea in my mind at least is that there were no more wars in the United or on the planet Earth because
Right.
everyone became united in a goal, single goal to better humanity. And then the charter was to like explore new worlds and
Right.
not to upset the ecosystem.
Right. Prime
But
directive. Yeah.
the prime directive. But the idea in my mind is that we rise together, right?
Hmm.
If we have, if we look externally and think about the Earth as just one Earth, right? One planet, one people.
Right.
And then we have to look elsewhere and we can actually move together towards a better goal. I had my friend, the other thing that my friend was upset about was that there are people who cheat the welfare system. And because he knew these people personally, and he was upset about all these liberal things like um, he said he knew somebody's kid who was getting uh, gender affirming therapy and medication without the parents' consent, which I don't think that's true. I think that's BS because there's no way. My kids go to school, the nurse cannot give them any medication whatsoever, not even like Neosporin for their wounds, for scraped knee
Oh, wow.
because they might be allergic, and if it opens up the school to and the school district to a lawsuit. So
Hmm.
that doesn't you know
Compute. Yeah.
compute in me. A lot of things don't compute and all this like stuff. It's just kind of like it goes back to like the whole anti-vax thing about the cell towers and Mike Bill Gates did that so that you would get blah 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 and get like all these nanodes
Right.
implanted into you with the vaccine so it could track you. All that bullshit,
Hmm.
right? It doesn't make sense. So the whole prime directive, I think if someone can actually create that message is like we are better when everyone is better.
Right.
So we are the weakest link of any chain or the whatever that is. What do you know that saying?
Oh,
The
yeah.
weakest link,
We are as strong as
the weakest link.
the weakest link in the chain that binds
Yeah.
us together, or something like that. Yeah.
So if we can actually strengthen all the weaknesses, then we rise together rather than thinking about, oh, the African Americans, oh, the Asian Americans, Chinese Americans, Indian Americans, Mexican Americans,
Hmm.
all these other things. But thinking of us as like one United States or one people,
Right.
if we all come together, if we help everybody, help the homeless and help, whatever, everyone rises together, right?
Hmm.
But if we don't think about the society as a whole thing, as a whole unit, and I think that's the problem with the message with the Democrats, they were segregating it and like breaking it down too much data analytics.
Ah.
But you have to think about everything as a collective.
Right.
So
Yeah. It.
that's my thought. Anyways, I'm just like really upset about the whole thing.
Oh, really? Yeah. For our listeners, if you that's my bird. It's a Java. I have a Java sparrow, so you might hear my bird Ming Ming from time to time. Uh, oh, there you go. He's singing. Only the males can sing. The females don't really. The females have some. They make some sounds, but they don't sing. So I have a male Java sparrow, which is illegal in California because I
Oh,
guess they're considered a rice pest. They eat rice, so they go in
oh,
the rice fields and eat a lot. The interesting thing I've seen recently, as far as news, it does make me think. I think this has been building up for a long time now. Is the healthcare CEO getting shot? Yeah,
yeah.
and I
I,
just yeah, that's like a whole nother bag of worms of like people. So when I heard about the CEO getting shot, I was like, oh damn, that sucks. See, someone got murdered, right?
yeah.
And then but it does point to some. But then when you look at all the emoji reactions to like the official United Healthcare Facebook page, and they have like you can react to a post. You can't leave a comment, but you can react, and like 90% of the reaction emoji posts at the time of viewing was like laughing emojis of
Yeah.
like this very heartfelt saying, heartfelt message saying, we're so sorry for, we wish the best for the Brian's family. And so I just thought like, whoa, yeah, America is like, it's, sure, the economy is doing good, but there's a lot of angry people who are really mad at the U.S. health care system. Like, I think the U.S. pays the most in healthcare, but
Hmm.
is like ranks 49th in like, you know, quality of service or quality of healthcare. And so I don't know. When I saw that, I was just like, I don't know. I went down the rabbit hole kind of like kind of following the news about this, because it was just like, it's such an interesting cultural phenomenon. Someone gets murdered and people are laughing about it, you know? And like people
Well,
are, yeah,
you take a look at the statistics that they released, right? United
right.
Health was like well known for the statistics. They are out of all the major healthcare companies out there,
Yeah.
they have the highest denial rate.
Oh, and
And
then the
that's
largest healthcare provider in the US too,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
So that's a problem, right?
Right.
And then so they affect the most people with that statistic. And it goes back to the idea like a lot of people don't want universal health care because if they're healthy, they don't want to pay for someone else's health care.
Right.
But it goes back to the weakest link thing.
Okay.
If you think about it as a society, if we actually just get over ourselves about like paying for someone else's health care,
Yeah.
if we think about the whole society, we all actually benefit because at some point or another, you're going to need some health care. I don't care how strong you are, healthy you are, but you're going to get old. Accidents do happen.
Right.
And when that happens, you want to have the best healthcare possible at the lowest rate that you can possibly get. But we think, just like I remember my sister said, I don't want to pay taxes and support somebody else, right? I don't want
Ah,
taxes to go somebody else. But that is what a society is, right?
right.
We pay for city taxes or property taxes or sales taxes and all that money and gas taxes to improve the roads that we all drive on. There are roads that I've never driven on in California. There's no way I'm going to drive all the roads in California, but
Right.
my taxes go towards making that better. There are police services and fire department services that I'm never going to use, like in other parts of the LA city that
Sure.
I pay for with my taxes. But I know that if the day comes, my fire department or my local the police department or somebody, my local hospital or whatever it is, paramedics, they're going to come and help me. But
Hmm.
that's what a society is. It's not everyone mixes up socialism with communism. It's completely different.
Hmm.
Socialism and social security it's a public health thing or it's a public right to make everyone better or healthier.
Hmm.
So that drives me nuts. And that goes back to the healthcare thing. So I think if we could get one healthcare system that's government funded, I know we're going to pay more in taxes, but at the same time, the inequality, people are not going to go poor because they can't pay for the medical bills.
Right. It's the number one reason of bankruptcy in the US is medical fees.
Yeah.
That's insane. People are dying and then they're also
And
getting
dying poor.
and they're dying poor, you know, like I do like here in Japan, I have to pay into the national pension system and I have to pay
Uh-huh.
into the national healthcare system. And it's like it's not cheap actually. It's a couple of $100 a month, you know, based on your income. But it's like it's in their manifesto or whatever they say like, oh, this is not just for you, but helps with the other your community and the great country at large. I'm like, okay, you know what? And me as a guest in this country, I guess I'm fine paying it, and like it's like I can still live very comfortably with my income and paying to the tax system, the pension, those systems in the U.S. in Japan. So Japan has its other issues, but I think that the idea that you mentioned, that collectivism, that's something that Japan actually has done better than the US. That idea of like the society at large, you're here to help the society at large. That's part of the culture too, though. Like,
It is.
yeah,
And that drives me nuts because it doesn't drive me nuts about Japan being that way it is. It drives me nuts about the Americans being the way we are, right? We're all about individual freedoms and individual rights and all that stuff. I get it. You get those,
I get it. Yeah,
but you don't want to infringe upon other people's rights either.
right,
Japan is all about, oh, you know what? I got to pick up my trash.
right,
I have the right to just toss it everywhere, but that will infringe upon the happiness of somebody else. Whereas
right,
Americans, you know what? Some people just don't give a fuck and just like toss that shit and don't worry about it because somebody else is going to take care of it.
right. My wife was like, when she visits America, is like, why are there so many trash cans and why is there so much trash on the ground?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, could they like they? It's like you could literally throw a piece of litter, and probability wise, it'll probably fall into a trash can, more likely than in
They're
Japan.
not. Yeah.
Then yeah, but like, But like no, I guess yeah, it's I think that and one thing a lot of Americans like to say when they come to Japan, well, Japan is great and all, but they like their suicide rate's super high. There's a lot of mental health issues, and there are. But what I'm looking at the numbers is like, well, the U.S. suicide rate is rising, like
Yeah.
because you know, believe it or not, as people get poor or like as wealth inequality is gets more and more
Drastic. Yeah.
drastic, then suicide rates, opioid use rates, they rise, and then so the U.S. is not too far behind from having like pretty and it's sad I think, um, but I yeah yeah
They talk
I
about the suicide rate, but then they don't talk about the murder rate.
yeah, the murder rate is way higher in the U.S.
So,
Yeah.
so Japan has like a high suicide rate, but the Americans have a super high murder rate
Right,
and,
right, right.
and
Yeah.
mass murder rate at that, right? So I don't know. We can talk about the deaths and like really dive into all the
On the numbers,
the
yeah,
all
yeah.
the numbers, like how many people are committing suicide in Japan versus how many people are committing murder or suicide in the US, and then we can like talk about the deaths, right? And the net, what is the net death, overall?
Sure.
Health, murders, suicide,
Hmm. Traffic accidents, not so much in
traffic
Japan.
accidents.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we can like factor all these. They can call one thing, but then what about all these other things that are happening in America that
Right.
don't happen anywhere else in the world? So many guns. We just had another shooting at a
I, s-
school.
I saw that. Madison, yeah, yeah.
I I
Uh,
I freak out. Like we had some sort of scare at my older son's school
oh no.
earlier this school year,
Shit.
and we didn't know what the fuck it was happening. And I just like, you know what? I can't do it. My peace of mind, I'm just gonna go pick up my kid. And a bunch, like half the school left. Like half the school, the kids got picked up by their parents.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be this bomb threat that was circulating around the internet. And it was just like a well-known bomb threat. It was
Like
like a hoax. But the thing
yeah.
is, like someone showed it. And then so they had to take that into consideration because that shit happens in the US.
Right. Like a funny story. We got a bomb threat in Japan. Like when
Uh-huh.
I in the building I was working, and my advisor kind of laughed. She's
Oh,
like,
really?
"Oh, hey, oh yeah, by the way, James, we got like this bomb threat. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal." And I was just like, and I was kind of mad that she. So I emailed my manager about that. Later, like, hey, I wish I could have known. Like, gave me a little bit more lead time, and I felt like I did uncomfortable, and it was like this cultural difference because in the U.S.,
Yeah.
all right, we got to clear out, but then like in Japan, they're like, well, it's not that serious because I guess it's just it was just like you said, it was like a threat that
Hoax.
was
Yeah.
circling around that had was received in multiple places, and it doesn't really but the thing is, the reason why there's like no trash cans in like subway
Hmm.
systems is because like in Japan it's because of the sarin gas attack. Like
Yeah.
it does
In the
happen in
90s.
Japan once in a while, but
Yeah.
the frequency, like if it happens once, then the Japan's like, okay, fuck trash cans, like like they'll like
Yeah.
yeah,
Just like Australia, right? They had one mass shooting. It's like, you know what? Fuck guns. We're just
fuck
gonna take that
guns,
shit away. America, he's like, no, no. We still believe in the Second Amendment, so
right,
you
right,
can still
right,
keep your guns. Even though it's for like a militia.
sure,
And the idea that you're gonna protect yourself against the government, if the
yeah,
government decides to take your shit,
sure.
they have an army. They have like a well-trained army. Not this like, weekend warrior militia bullshit. They have.
It's yeah, I never could. I guess yeah, it's always in this belief that if the people wanted to, they could always rise up and take over the government, right, with their guns. But like
Not the
at
US
what
military.
at what cost, right? Yeah, and is
Yeah,
that really gonna happen? Like, um, I get the sentiment. It's like if like Trump's in power and like and like, I don't know, he wants to deport, Chinese people or something into an internment camp. Like, okay, maybe I want to get some guns. I don't know, like, but I don't. I think the likelihood and like the political uproar about that would be like it would come to that like before like it would come to like the U.S. like citizens having to kill other citizens or the army or
Yeah.
something like that. I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, we got sidetracked a bit. That's our political talk, our episode. Yeah, we did. It's interesting. We didn't really we haven't really talked about politics in a while.
Yeah.
So it's actually we're going back to our roots. The first few episodes, yeah, we talked about Americanness. It's interesting looking back at some of the titles of these past episodes. It's like it's the focus had was started like with some politics, and then we went to
Martial arts.
martial arts, and then relationships because you were interested about my dating life, being using like online dating, and
Yeah.
then we talked a lot about relationships. And now it's interesting to see how like now that I'm married, it's kind of like tapered off. Like it's talked about instead of how to get a girl or have that or how to have sex, it was more like, okay, well, how do you maintain a good relationship? And it's interesting. It's an interesting pivot, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's a good pivot because I think before, and it was kind of like I heard, I think it was like a comedian, maybe Russell Brand or something. It's like instead of just trying to get like, the crumbs off the ground, like some tasty crumbs off the table of a dinner table. You actually want to eat at the table. You want to have like a meal. And
Yeah.
I think being in a relationship with all the hard work and all the like, there's a lot of like some arguing and compromising that has to be done. But it does feel more like a meal versus like trying to get laid every week. Trying to
Yeah.
get laid every week has its fun moments. I thought, at the time I thought, but it's like gambling, man. It's like, am I gonna get laid this time? Am I gonna? Ah, I'm not gonna get laid. Oh, I got laid this time. Ah, but it was over so quickly. How can I get laid again? It was kind of like that. It was like that dopamine rush
Yeah.
addiction. Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting to see like just looking at these titles of like, oh, bad date. What are some other ones? Yeah. And then I that switch from like yeah eventual switch. It was recent. I got married last year,
Yeah.
so but
I mean, I don't know how many more single friends you have around your circle. I have some friends who are now divorced
yeah, I have
and
I have some divorced friends. Yeah,
they're going through the dating cycle now. And it's interesting because or at least for me, I'm in my 50s, so and my friends are, in the late 40s
mm.
to 50s. The idea of going out there and dating again it sounds crazy to me. I mean, I told my wife if she passes away suddenly or if we get divorced, I think that's it for me. I don't need to get married again. It's just it took I mean, we're great, but the thing is there's still some adjustment periods.
Yeah, yeah,
Getting to know and accepting what's right and what, and just for me, not just for me, but for her as well, right? So, what adjustments do they have to make to how I'm normally am,
yeah.
and to understand that I'm going to be that way, especially at
Mm.
51, I'm not changing much without like some monumental something happening in my life. There's some things are just kind of set in stone at this point.
So those, I guess, for you then it's just about. I mean, you guys are there's still adjustment stuff. There's things that are
There's
still
always going to be, yeah.
right, right, and then I guess I think the main thing was for me. I guess was it like Dr. David Buss talks about this sexual variety, always chasing after the new hot ass or something like that, and that switch from like, and it's pretty primordial, right? Like that always trying to get the new hot girl, or like, oh, you know
Yeah.
what, I haven't slept with this type of girl yet, like and and then having that free focus to like, oh wait, I want to build a family, I want to build, I want to, I think I guess my question then would be like, for you, for you, like keeping it, having those adjustment periods, or keeping, keep maintaining a relationship, has it been, I mean, how has that work been for you, and how like resist like the boredom, and resist like to the need to, like, you know what, the doubts of a relationship, because I think there's always doubts, right? Yeah.
There's always going to be doubts, but the thing is, like, there are other things like I can focus my attention on.
Yeah.
If I have time to think about those things,
Yeah.
I have time to think about, oh, you know what? I should actually go work out.
Yeah.
I should
Yeah.
go practice my kung fu.
Right.
Or, I could go. There's so many things in life these days to distract us, right?
Yeah.
In the old days, you just work and you have to work hard because that's all there was, right? Very
Yeah.
few hobbies. But there's so many things that, and then having kids on top of that,
Yeah.
I don't, I honestly do not know how people have a second family when they have kids. I don't, because you just basically have to ignore one set and go with the other
Right. That's basically what happens eventually, I think, though. Yeah. Yeah.
eventually. But
Yeah.
I mean, even that overlap period, how the fuck do you do that? I have, I don't have time for that shit.
Right. Or like those guys who have like six different girlfriends. Like,
Yeah.
how do you manage that? You know?
Yeah, it's not raise the red lantern kind of time either,
Like,
Those people
yeah.
aren't like super wealthy and married. It's different when you're married and you're super wealthy.
Yeah.
Then I guess, yeah, you don't have to worry about working and you
Mm,
can just go on leisurely activities or whatever like that and have dates with all six girlfriends 1 day a week. But
mm.
I'm not there.
Right, right. And that sounds like you said, draining. Like,
That sounds like a lot of work.
yeah, 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 yeah. So, uh,
But some people are out there, they have the
they do
energy
it.
for it.
Yeah, yeah.
More power to them.
Uh, yeah, looking back, when there's one episode, I remember I was talking to Sang. We were talking with Seng Chen, and there's one quote I really liked from that episode, was like, when he bikes, when he does cycling,
Hmm.
he doesn't listen to music because he wants to hear himself suffer. I always think, whenever, yeah, so whenever I go working out, or like whenever I feel like, I go for a run or something, I actually don't listen to music, because I think that was a big influence on, like, you know what, I kind of want to just like, well, I want to get hit by a car, right? I want to hear like
Yeah.
the environment, but I also want to hear myself suffer. And I think sometimes when I do work out and listen to music, because sometimes I have to, because the gym, they plays like really bad music.
Yeah.
But I do find it, like, I enjoy, practicing or working out when, or going for a run when I don't have to listen to music or anything like that. So I don't know, that was like, there's some good takeaways sometimes from these interviews that we do. Yeah.
You know
Um,
that speaks to the more primordial parts of being a guy
oh,
or
really?
a girl. Well, it feels like, you know what? Uh to me it reminds me of Fight Club, right? I think about Fight Club all the time because the message I got from Fight Club was,
Yeah.
oh yeah, people, and it's not the ideal, it's like, oh, we're just gonna beat up people, but like in all actuality, what defines a person?
Hmm.
Like as a what is that masculine quality, right? I push numbers all day, all night on the
Yeah.
computer.
Yeah.
And I write things all day, all night on the computer, emails, do spreadsheets, whatever. But in the end, it doesn't feel like work. Like I might have
Hmm.
done something, I might have accomplished, my goals, objectives for that
Sh-
day,
Sure.
but it doesn't feel like, oh, you know what? I went out and killed something. Or I know. So to hear myself suffering when I actually work out,
Yeah.
to feel it, then I feel like I'm actually improving or doing something better to myself. If I could,
Mm,
because I can feel it and hear it. And it's like the all the senses kind of thing, right?
right. You're out there, you can hear your breathing, and you can feel when you're like, ah, shit, maybe I can't go up this hill, or like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So no, I mean, I think that goes back to one of the previous episodes. Paul Hoyer talked about like presence, right? Talking about
Yeah.
being present with the environment and your body. No, I think that's really important. I think having like you said, I also work from home all day, and like there was one time, like I think it was last year, I was just kind of like I was feeling like, man, I sure I'm doing stuff at home on my computer all day, but like I took at that point in my life, I took like a one day out of the week to like volunteer at a old folks home
Oh,
in a Japanese old folks home. And also I used that as an excuse to practice my Japanese. But I think that was being of service. That was pretty cool, and just talking to old people and hearing some of their stories.
yeah.
And also it's like these people are like in their 90s, so it's like. But I also learned like not all old Japanese people are nice too. Like there's some assholes too.
Assholes everywhere.
There's assholes everywhere and every age group, and also some Japanese are better at being like covering up. Like they'll be polite, and then one time he's like, "Why are you here? Why are you like very suspicious of me? Like why are you here? Why are
Yeah.
you talking to me?" I'm like, "Oh, like yeah." So and it was something I worked out with like what do you want me to do with the director there? It's like, hey, what do you want me to do? Is there any way I can help? And he's like, oh yeah, just talk to them, work out their brain a little bit. If they can speak a little English, try to speak English to them. Yeah. But overall, most of them were really super nice. And I think, yeah, I think a lot of us who are on our computer every day, we all need to find like a little bit of something to like make us feel like connected, either with our body or with our community. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I I I get that. Listening to yourself suffer, that I didn't remember that, but that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. One of my personal favorite episodes is like Own Worst Enemy. That's the one where I was trying to get a blowjob, but I didn't. That was like it's kind of embarrassing to think about it now. Like I was so obsessed with like not getting action from this girl. It's episode 19. It's like was like 7 years ago. But I think with my conversation with you, and also it also reconnected me with one of my college friends who actually listened to the episode, because like James, I'm with you, man. I've been there. Like all these regrets about not having slept with someone or not having gone after a certain girl. I think it's so interesting that it was such a huge part of my life at that time, and now that's like it's like a phantom now. Now what I look forward to is like watching. Right now, I'm watching Harry Potter series with my wife. I look forward to that now. Like, and then like I look forward to like I had surgery recently for like a varicose vein in my area in my body, and like I look forward to like that healing so that I can have sex again, but with like my partner,
Yeah.
and instead of just multiple strange women. And that was fun too. I think that's great too. But it was like I don't know. Sometimes it's embarrassing to look at these old episodes. I
What was that, the one where you were like setting the mood
was
lights
trying to set the mood, and I
and
was
the
trying to like,
music and then like
yeah, I was trying to get things perfect, but I was
yeah.
getting in my own way, if that makes
Yes.
sense. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
mean,
yeah,
everybody has regrets though. I mean, there's a
yeah,
subreddit about like, oh, about when you miss like signs or something
or
like that.
misconnections. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there are like tons of subreddits, and I have my own. I mean,
Sure.
there are,
Yeah, yeah. We've talked about
yeah,
it. Yeah,
we've
yeah.
missed, everybody has had opportunities that they didn't read up on or like didn't understand at the moment.
Right.
And then they go back and it's like, oh, that's what that meant. But those are the things that shape us, and those are the experiences that if you get more of those, and you're like, oh, I should really action upon this because
Right,
this is
right.
just like the past past situation.
Right. And the thing we always circle back to is like, well, if I didn't have those regrets, would I be in the relationship that I'm happy in now?
No,
Right.
yeah,
Like, nah, yeah. So probably not, maybe. I don't know. And it's kind of like, and this is kind of embarrassing to say, but like, it's like, oh, I had this one opportunity with like this one white girl. I've never slept with a white girl before. Right.
yeah,
And I kind of just like, it was just like, I couldn't find the right timing. And there's no perfect timing to like, to make an approach, but so what, right? Like who cares? Like What? So what? You're gonna try to sleep with every race in the world? Like go look, or like, what about? Oh, you want to sleep with a black girl that's not just right-handed, but maybe left-handed or something. Like like there's so many like weird combinations and things that you could try to go for. It's never ending, and I do think for young men who are listening and who have not got laid, you should get laid. Like getting laid is great, but I think what's more important though is for a lot of young men is like they need to work on themselves. They gotta make
Yeah.
themselves better, and guess what? By making yourself more attractive, by being better in yourself, bitches will come, or ladies will come. Sorry. Ladies will come. The ladies will come. Yeah. I think okay, like there's one episode, episode 36 called "Don't Settle." Sometimes I think about this episode. I think we are talking about like getting married, right? And I was asking you, Dan. I was saying like, oh, Dan, maybe I should just like settle. Like maybe I should just like I shouldn't be like. There's no perfect girl, right? And I think one of the best advice you gave me was like, nah, you shouldn't feel like you're settling. Like maybe, yeah, there's no perfect girl, but you shouldn't feel like you're settling.
Yeah.
Like you're settling for less. I guess is the sentiment. And I really like. I think like I think that the relationship I'm in now partially is because like I didn't feel like I settled, and I think that's why this relationship is good. Like sometimes I'll look at my wife like, damn, she's kind of hot, like damn, she's younger and she's hot and she's with this, like with
Yeah.
me, like, and more importantly, obviously, more importantly, our values align. Our main values
Right.
align. Like we're on the same page about having a family. We're on the same page about like, you know, that like morals and ethics. For the most part. So like that's more important. But like, dude, I think it's so important to feel like, and I hate to say it's like a primordial thing, but like you want to look at your wife and say like, damn, she's kind of hot. Like sometimes like when I'm waiting for her and I'll see like, hey, who's that hot chick? Oh shit, that's my wife. Like you still want to have that feeling once in a while,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
obviously it's gonna, looks don't last forever. People get older, but like, dude, it's I think it's great to still be attracted, to your wife, like in that very visceral sense. Yeah. I don't
Yes.
know if you
Yes.
I don't know if you have anything to say about that, but like that's what I got from that. Like, don't settle. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still stand by that. If you settle, you're gonna, I mean, to marriage is hard anyways.
Right.
And if you start from a place where you feel like you're already settling,
Yeah.
then you're not going to be super happy. So,
Right. If that's the starting point, like,
yeah,
like, yeah, it
it
should
doesn't
start
go
like
all,
pretty. Yeah, it doesn't go up. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, our most popular episode we've ever had by views and by listens is Teo Yoo,
yeah, of
episode 20
course.
28. Just because he's blown up. He's like, he was in Past Lives. I wrote a review about it recently, which is a pretty good movie. Have you seen Past Lives or?
I have.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I didn't find it as like endearing as a lot of people did. I don't
Uh,
know what it was.
yeah, maybe you're
I mean, I
cold-hearted. Yeah.
maybe,
No, I'm
but
kidding.
I, 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 it just didn't speak to me. I mean, just the way it is. Some
Yeah.
movies speak to you and some movies don't.
Hmm.
Um, like I'm surprised that I like Wicked as much as I did.
Oh, we're planning to watch that. It comes out in Japan March of next year. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that late? Oh man.
Yeah. My wife was pretty sad about that. I was like, well, maybe we can watch the English. She's like, nah, I don't. But yeah, yeah, we're gonna have to wait
Oh,
for the Japanese version. Yeah,
oh, that
the
is that what it is?
subtitles. Yeah,
The Japanese subtitles or Japanese
I think they're gonna do
dub?
Japanese subtitles. I think there's gonna be two versions. But
Japanese
like,
dub and Japanese subtitles?
yeah, but if we're gonna do yeah, if we're gonna watch it together, we have to do the subtitled version because yeah. Um,
I I think that's my vote for movie of the year or best picture of the year because
really, Wicked. Okay,
yeah, I didn't think I would like it as much. It's a very big spectacle movie. It's
sure.
very bright. lots of people, lots of extras. It feels like a throwback to the 60s and 70s where there were a lot of extras.
Hmm.
You know, like Lawrence of Arabia has like a ton of extras, and you know, any other movie, right?
Right.
Big dance numbers. Uh, Ariana Grande, she 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 was awesome.
Wow,
I
that's
really
great.
liked her.
Hmm.
The only thing I would say about her is that one or two of the early songs I didn't understand what the fuck she was saying. I couldn't understand what she was singing. I couldn't pick out the words, and but her portrayal of Glinda was awesome. I thought
Okay.
that was so great.
Have you seen the Broadway version or the
I have
stage version?
not.
Okay, I don't
They,
have, yeah, yeah, I don't have any background information. My wife loves Broadway musicals, so
yeah,
she's already seen like recordings of the stage play and stuff like that. So
there are
I'm coming
recordings
into
out
it.
there.
What's that?
There are recordings out there. I want to
I
watch
th
a recording.
Yeah, there's some recordings of like stage, like
Yeah,
of performances. Yeah, but
because it's playing actually right here in Hollywood at the Pantages,
okay, the movie.
the musical.
Oh, the musical. Okay.
Yeah, the musical is playing in the Pantages Theater. So if I ever feel the need or feel the uh, yeah, if I feel like I want to see the real thing, I can, or not the real thing, but the musical,
Musical, yeah.
it's actually available to me. But
Yeah.
it's just a matter of like finding the time, paying the
Right.
tickets,
It's
and
probably
going
not
out
cheap.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like $100 something or something like that.
Right.
100
Right.
more than 100.
I think
So
the last musical I saw was like Hamilton, and I paid like it was like $120 or something, and it was like not even that close.
yeah,
Yeah.
I watched Hamilton too in San Francisco, but my sister-in-law gifted it to us.
Yeah,
But
I think my sister gifted it to me as well, actually. Yeah. Musicals, yeah. It's
I
like, yeah.
do you
It's
have
like
a
a
favorite musical?
Not really. I think it's like sorry, but I think it's like a chick. It's like a girl thing, right? Musicals. Like I don't know too many guys who are like all the guys who are really into musicals. They're like gay, like like
Yeah.
that I know. Like because I knew some
Oh,
actors and they're like and they're it's gay. It's like um oh you know what I know what a few guys who are into musicals, but they like to sing and stuff. Yeah. Um
I think my favorite musical of all time is still The Book of Mormon.
my I think my brother and sister really like that one. I don't think I've seen it. Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
That one is great. It's funny.
Yeah.
It it's just it's the definitely the South Park humor.
Okay, okay. Maybe I'll check it out. I've been getting more into musicals because of my wife. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a big fan of like musicals and stuff. So
Like
maybe
Miss
that's
Saigon I've seen Rent. I've I've seen a recording of Les Mis.
okay. Yeah, Les Mis. Okay, actually, I was a big fan of Les Mis. Just like the songs, like the songs are
Yeah.
like really good. Yeah.
But that's all the musical is basically
Right.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
some words knitted together, right?
Yeah. So maybe I'm biased. I like maybe it's not just a chick thing, but that's yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I,
I mean, there are a lot of like romantic musicals like Phantom of the Opera and stuff like
oh
that,
yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I could watch Cats. But Book of Mormon is good because
Book of Mormon.
I also like the South Park movie. Did you ever watch the South Park movie?
Dude, yeah, America, fuck yeah.
No, that's Team America.
That's Team America.
World Police. There's
What's
a
the
South Park movie.
what's the South
S
Park movie?
Bigger,
What?
longer, uncut.
I think I kind of forgot, but I remember it was like funny. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Blame Canada.
Oh,
What
blame
would Brian?
Canada.
Yeah, what would Brian Boitano do? Things like that. It's they. I think that was their practice run to make Book of Mormon.
Oh, interesting. Because it's a musical, basically, the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, the movie is basically a musical, and you know, with a lot more dialogue than a musical would. But I thought that was pretty fucking hilarious.
Cool. Yeah, to wrap it up, yeah, what are your thoughts on the past 8 years of recording here and there? Anything that kind of stood out for you? Any conversations that stood out or anything that kind of like comes to mind?
I think we touched upon all the ones. The Andy Yang one, just I remember I was like so animated and I could not believe what I was hearing from this guy who believed in Andy Yang.
Oh,
Andy
Andrew
Yang.
Yang. Yeah, yeah. Eric, what is that guy? Eric Chen, I believe. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We
I was I was in disbelief. It was like a throwaway vote. That guy was useless to me. Andrew Yang was useless to me.
Are you more a Bernie guy during the
Uh,
primaries, I guess?
I mean, Bernie sounds more appealing and more interesting,
Yeah.
but the world is not the I shouldn't say the world. The US is not ready for Bernie. Just like I didn't think the world or the US was ready to elect um, a female minority if we weren't going to elect a white female.
Right. Bernie. I was for Bernie. Yeah, Bernie was a yeah, because like he's very consistent in his messaging, and he
Yeah.
doesn't, and he's a solid guy, and both sides respect him. But the DNC, they didn't respect him. Yeah.
Well, in any case, what about you? What episode stood out to you?
Yeah. So I named a few. Yeah, no, I do think it's been interesting to see how this podcast, and then we got like like was it we got like the Magic Mind people, they reached out to us. I was like, oh wow, some people actually listen, and like they're like a legit company too. Like so, I was super happy when they reached out to us. So I was like, okay, it's getting some traction. I guess we could be I guess I could be more consistent in uploading it. Uh, I think if I do make a schedule or something, I at the same time I don't want this to become work, you know what I mean? Like I want
Yeah.
this to become like a fun thing that we do once in a while, like we record. And but at the same time, I think for it to actually blossom or to grow, I'd probably have to be more consistent with uploads. Yeah.
Or we can make them into smaller bites.
We could, yeah. And but then like yeah, that'd be like more work for me and but it is fun. I do make like the 1 minute clips like here and there. Those are fun.
Yeah.
So yeah. I guess we could end on, another thing that we started this podcast with was like martial arts. How's your training going? What are you doing these days with martial arts? Yeah.
Um, well, I'm definitely still teaching quite a bit. I met with my grandmaster in Sifu recently.
Choy foot.
Yeah, Choy Sifu, grandmaster. I was driving them around LA, showing them the sites wherever they wanted to go.
How old is he nowadays?
He's 76, my grandmaster, and my Sifu is 50. He's a
Okay,
year
so
younger
young.
than I am. Yeah, but he's retired for the most
Hmm.
part. Um,
But
it's
they can,
interesting because,
yeah,
huh?
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. They're still strong, I'm assuming. They're still like very crisp movements. Yeah.
Yeah, they sent me a recording. Well, as a as a reward for me driving them around,
Yeah.
they showed me an exercise. I had asked them about these two-person exercises, and I learned that Grandmaster created a bunch of them. But they showed me a very basic one. I remember the one like. I don't remember it, but I remember in the sense of practicing it with Grandmaster back in the early 2000s was a little bit more complex. And I remember getting punched by him because I messed it up. Every time I messed up, he would punch me.
Oh, ouch.
And yeah, it wasn't like a hard punch, but it was like the first time it was a leopard fist punch or a
Yeah.
panther fist or a ginger fist,
Okay.
ginger root fist into the solar plexus. And I was a lot more fit back then. And it just like I felt it go in my stomach and out, pow, like into the solar plexus. I was like, oh man, that felt weird. It just like went in.
Oh,
Yeah.
that feel creepy. Yeah, yeah. It goes into your stomach. Okay.
Yeah. But I there are some regrets like, oh, if I stayed San Francisco, I would have been like made a seafood because I would, 15 years of like training and stuff like that. But overall, I don't think I could have survived staying in Bay Area. I just was not very happy there in the Bay Area. So I don't think I could like suffered enough. I couldn't eat the bitter for it. But I mean, I still want to learn one or two things, but I think I might go whenever I find time. I might go try out this Baji class in Temple City.
Oh, cool.
Do you know that guy, Jason So?
No,
Because I
Jason.
know
So
you, yeah, I know you practice Baji, but he's he's supposed to be a pretty good guy in Southern California, in LA especially. He does it
Jason.
on Saturday.
So okay.
Yeah, TSOU.
I'll look him up.
What about you? I mean, you're on a break for a little bit after the surgery, but
Yeah. Just focusing on recovery, taking walks, I did a little bit of Tai Chi today and like Jing, which is like a Shaolin stretching exercise, like a Qigong exercise. And then,
That's not the eight brocades.
no, it's different. It's, Jing is from the Book of
Book.
Changes. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, I
influenced by the
Ching.
book. Yeah, by the I Ching.
I Ching.
Maybe but it's like that's like uh, that one's kind of like just like 12 simple movements, like like this, so like that. So I've been doing stuff like that, light stuff like Tai Chi, and then I want to get back to Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, probably get better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and also some wrestling. Get better at break takedowns. There are some boxing. There are like some bags at the gym that I go to, the BJJ dojo I go to, and so I try to fit in some like striking before the class, or before we have an open mat on Sundays. So I try to fit in some striking before, so I don't forget those skills like kicking and
Yeah.
punching. Yeah, but then before I get into the grappling stuff. But yeah, just that. Sometimes I'll do like maybe a Baji form just to keep up with it. But yeah, mostly just like because eventually I do want to compete a little bit more in jiu-jitsu. So if I were to compete, I'd have to put more time investment into that
Yeah.
specific art form. Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
And
Are
then
there
yeah,
are there forms in Baji?
yeah. There's a short form and the long form. Yeah, there's
Just
a
two?
小家and 大家. Those are the two main ones I know of. And then there's like kind of like the basic exercises, like there's like there's like eight strikes that you can learn. There like eight exercises, and then there's like a warm up extra. There's a few warm up exercises, but there's only two main forms that I learned. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
小家 and 大家. Yeah, you could probably look it up. It's also called small frame, big frame form.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Jason. Yeah, yeah. Check out Baji. Baji's cool. I think as far as like power or Fajing generation, it's a good. And also like elbow attacks, learning how to do the elbow attacks.
Yeah. I know that the pinky has to go like this because it changes the structure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's kind of like you have to have the yin yang balance, right? It can't
Yeah.
just be all this way. Yeah, so you have to. Oh yeah, yeah. I kind of miss that the Chinese traditional Chinese martial arts. Yeah. But yeah, that's martial arts stuff, and I'm trying to practice like meditating. At least once every day or every other day, like 10 minutes, just sitting. Yeah, not that can't really do Zhuang right now, but like just like the standing meditation, but like just sitting meditation. I'll try to do that.
I have to start doing that.
Yeah,
Maybe tomorrow.
like
Tomorrow.
like
No,
the standing meditation, or
standing. I'll
yeah,
there's no maybe. I should just do it. I'm just
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
start doing it.
It's good. Do you find like it improves your frame or your mind? Yeah, no,
I used to do it. We used to have to do it like once a week
yeah.
for my classes, and then I think the longest we had to do it for was they just didn't. I don't know what it was, but the instructors didn't want us to do push hands that day. And we just did 1 hour of on or standing meditations.
Damn. That sounds like wow. Okay. How did you
It
feel
happened.
afterwards? Yeah.
It didn't feel any different, honestly.
Honestly, yeah, yeah,
But I was also younger too. When you're 20 and doing, that kind of stuff,
yeah.
it's different than when you're older and doing that kind of stuff.
Hmm. So yeah, maybe yeah. I liked the standing and the sitting meditation. I felt like it. I don't know. Maybe it's just like brainwashing, right? Like, oh, I feel like there's like circulation, or the chi is flowing better, right? Yeah. All right.
All
Well,
right.
this was a good episode. Thanks for chatting with me. But yeah, I guess I'll see you in the new year, maybe, or yeah, or
Yes.
I'll probably give you a Merry Christmas. Oh, sorry, Happy Holidays. Yeah.
Those things are like, it doesn't really matter to me.
like like at the end of the day, there's like what does matter is like yeah, like young men killing themselves like that. That's a big deal. Like and people going into bankruptcy because of medical
Yeah.
issues like that's those are the bigger issues, but they're not sexy, right? They're not like the buzz stuff. Like, yeah, yeah.
Like my mom still uses the word Oriental.
Who cares? Like,
Who
yeah,
cares?
who
Doesn't
cares?
matter.
All right, man. Take care, dude.
All right.
All right,
See
see
ya.
ya. Bye.